Well, Zach, thanks so much for having me in your gym, man. Iron Valley Barbell here in Indianapolis. Zach, for those who don't know, tell us a little bit about who you are and about the gym.
I'm Zach Homol, I'm 26 years old. I'm originally from Wellsburg, West Virginia. I own a gym now here at Iron Valley Barbell. I also am a strength and conditioning coach for athletes and lifters alike in over a dozen countries. And I founded a fundraising organization called the Champion Water Initiative. We're working to provide clean water to rural communities around the world.
That's the thing that I think since you and I have known each other that I really appreciate about you is that you're not just like running a gym. You're not like just a personal trainer. Like you do those things, but like your vision is like way bigger than that.
Oh yeah.
Like the water stuff, and you really are intentional about pouring into people. Where did that come from?
My childhood. Growing up as a young kid, life was pretty great. Kind of the American family. My parents had good jobs, we had nice cars, and around age 11, I watched drug addiction, alcoholism, depression tear my family apart. And that really altered my life, and it gave me a lot of compassion for other people and people who are hurting, suffering, because a lot of times I know that's just seasons of people's lives, but I've watched it dictate people's entire lives. And I thought that if I could just play a helping hand in that season of their life, that I could help change the course of their entire life. So whenever I was being blessed with my social media platforms, I knew that I'd be able to use it for much more than just health and fitness. Growing up, I always had faith. I've always believed there was a higher power.
You believe there was a God somewhere.
I believe there's a God somewhere, but I didn't know what that looked like. My grandfather actually was a pastor at a really small church in Eastern Ohio, so not far from West Virginia. And we'd go over, once a month or every other month maybe. And he was a good man, but I think it was too close to home. I just couldn't connect really with the church. There was no kids ministry, anything like that. So I was just basically sitting in the pews, just listening to this guy preach and about things that I didn't understand. So, and at that time, a lot of what I viewed as a Christian was, I was ornery growing up. So people, believe it or not. So, growing up, I was just always getting these rules thrown at me by Christians. And, but then I was able to see through their lies. Like, well, you're living, everything you're saying and you're telling me is not exactly how you're living either. So I thought there was a certain rule book I had to live by, which is very turn-offish. So I always believed, but I just didn't believe I had to go to church.
Right.
And
Right. So you get to Indianapolis, you start the gym, you meet Ashley. Tell us, how in the world did you first come to Traders Point?
When I opened up Iron Valley Barbell, I was working, there were 6 months straight. I worked 20 hours a day. And maybe a handful of days I worked less than that. I really didn't have much money at the time. Money was tight around that time. And I was very controlled by earthly matters and materials. I was just trying to make rent. I was just trying to make it. And I was growing further and further and further away from God. And all my relationships, including my relationship with Ashley, was struggling. And she had mentioned a few times Traders Point. She would go every Sunday, but I would just get up and go to work. So one day, it was when I had this basically lost all hope. I just felt like I had nothing to put my hope on. I couldn't really see anything in the future. And I decided, when my relationships began to suffer the most, is when I decided, hey, I want to go to Traders Point. When I mentioned it to her, she really didn't entertain it. She's like, okay, because she just knew how I was. First, I'm like, Ash, what do I wear? Because I wear sweatpants every day to the gym, and and she's like, wear whatever you want. It's just how it is. She's like, even the pastor just gets up there in a t-shirt and jeans and just come as you are. And she said the church was big, which actually made me more comfortable because I was like, I can blend in, I can fit in. I'm not going to burn the place down, in my mind. So, when I came in, it was very inviting. You guys do a phenomenal job. The band started to play, and I'm like, oh, this is fun, and I was almost hooked immediately. I just really couldn't explain it because I've always believed. Right. So since I've always believed, I just felt like I needed to find a home. I say this all the time. When I went that Sunday, I know God helped you prepare that message, and you spoke directly into my life in a manner that was the first time ever in my life I believed I knew who Jesus was, and I was willing to follow Jesus from the very first sermon you ever preached.
Wow, man.
Changed my life forever.
How do you now carry yourself in the gym in a way that you're representing Jesus, but you're not turning guys off or being the religious freak in the gym? Because you're a natural leader. I've seen that. People just automatically respect you. They want to follow you. So how are you doing that? Like, how are you wrestling through that?
So that was extremely challenging. When I first started following Jesus, when I just dropped my baggage, I'm like, I'm following Jesus. It was hard because a lot of the ways that I lead inside the gym is through aggression. It's through, I'm just really hyping guys up.
It's an aggressive place.
Yes, absolutely. And I know I need to hold some of that still, but I've been doing it through more compassion, more understanding of people. So instead of just leading one particular way, I'm finding ways to lead particular individuals. Now I have different approaches. I will lead into a compliment, tell people, man, your form is looking really good. I would maybe just try this. Now I know that might sound very subtle and not really that important even right now to speak into, but I've watched so many lives change in this gym just by adding more pounds to the bar, because when you have more belief in yourself in the gym, it continues to carry over into the real world. I believe mind, body, and spirit all have to work together to truly be able to get the most out of your spiritual life.
Right. Well, I think it's an amazing thing, man, that, you know, a couple years ago, like, you went to church, and now it's really cool that you're starting to bring the church to the gym.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. And so, Zach, thanks so much for hanging out with me, man. Really love you and appreciate what God's doing.
Thanks, man. Love you, brother.
Yeah.
Thanks.